Like I'm into the occult. Like I wouldn't practice the occult. Like at least black magic, I wouldn't practice that. For obvious reasons. Like it will, I feel it will. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna fuck your soul over. Um, I like studying it and just knowing about it. But I posted this on X was that I was visited by some sort of demonic force um, earlier when I was sleeping, and I just got off work, and I do a third shift job, so I'm sleeping at like I think I was closing my eyes around 7:10 a.m. and I had to do something, but I wanted to rest. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna fall asleep. I'm just gonna close my eyes a bit. And I could have sworn that it wasn't gonna happen, but somewhere along the way, I must have fallen asleep. Somewhat, because I was about 30%, 30 to 35% awake, and something occurred. I don't know what it was. I can't recall, but something was happening, and I can't remember how I was feeling about it. But the next thing I know, I'm just sort of fighting with something, and this thing is kind of trying to restrain me. And I can't remember what I said or did. When you're in that lucid state, and it was like somewhat sleep paralysis at the same time. Somewhat. I've never had an experience with sleep paralysis that was like this, but it was somewhat where I had more control than ever. So like maybe that's the thing with sleep paralysis. If you're a little more awake, you have more control over it. And it is some sort of demonic entity. I don't think it's totally malevolent though. But so obviously the most people would say it's sitting on you, it's keeping you down, it's keeping you from moving. Well, I was in more of a state to kind of just fight it off this time. And like I said, it wasn't like most cases of sleep paralysis, but I did feel that sort of tension of restraint, but not so strong. And I managed to get it away. Don't recall how, but it got away. And then I'm seeing nothing but black. Only 35% aware. It's kind of like I know I'm sleeping, but at the same time I kind of don't. It's this strange state of consciousness, and the voice. I heard myself speaking aloud, saying things to whatever it was. I'm half asleep, half awake. Not half awake. I'm more asleep than I am awake, but I think I was saying things out loud, and I was at this point antagonizing it because it had like moved away. It was like I'd say, I'm seeing nothing but black at this point. I'd say it moved to the other side of the room. Like if I could sense it's where it was through some sort of psychic energy, it moved to the other side of the room. And so I kept antagonizing it. I can't remember what I said, but it was antagonize it. That's the most I can recall. And then the next thing you know, something is on top of me. It's grabbing me by the wrists, and it is wrestling with me, and it's like clearly frustrated. And at this time, it's like more of this like sort of intrinsic thing that I have no control over, where it's like my soul is screaming at this thing, and the soul is saying to it, what is your name? Who are you? Tell me what your name is. And then finally, after struggling some, I see this image, this clear image of a red-haired woman with kind of curly long locks, very thin, very pale. She's just kind of staring at me, looks at me for a moment, and then turns around and walks away. And she was dressed in like this Victorian style clothing. And I remember saying something to her about witchery, about witchcraft, and my soul was kind of touching upon the idea that this was a person, a woman who was perhaps a witch and was burnt at one point. And that became apparent to me. And, I don't want to sound dreary or anything, but I was just like, if you were persecuted for something you didn't do, I forgive you. And that's when it turned and left me. And I saw the image of it just staring up, had kind of not an angry, but like a sort of look of resentment. And there was a certain evil to it, but nothing like terrible. Something angry, and maybe that's what these attacks of sleep paralysis are, is they're just lost souls, angry spirits. They're just venting their frustrations. And I feel the only way you can truly combat them or get to know them is because like sleep paralysis mostly happens in that state where I think you're mostly asleep. Like, well, I'll say like 80% asleep. At that point, the demon, the spirit, the entity has more control over you. But if you're slightly more awake, like I was at one time, then they have way less control. And like I say, the part where I felt like, and I swear to God, my wrists were up. Like as I'm sleeping, they were up, and I was doing this. But my eyes are closed. I'm still mostly asleep, but I felt it. And when it got on top of me, I could feel that it was kind of weak, like a woman, and it was very frustrated with me. And I do believe mostly that these are psychic entities, and I fully believe that, because like this is just the physical body we live in. Where does our consciousness go? There's a strong possibility, almost certainty, that our consciousness can just interact with other people's consciousness. A lot of people out there do still suggest the idea that we humans have psychic capabilities, and if we have psychic capabilities, then that tells me in death, then we're more or less, we become that psychic in its total form. We're not bound by these bodies anymore. So yeah, I certainly believe in the possibility that a woman could have been persecuted, or maybe she was just a angry, scornful woman. I don't know, but something told me in that experience that I was dealing with a woman who was persecuted as a witch. Maybe what I wanted to think was that she was just looking for someone to scream at and someone to forgive her or something. I don't know. But, I did look it up afterwards, and there was witch burnings in Florida during, I think, the craze of like Salem and stuff like that. There was witch burnings in Florida. There was a woman named Mary Smith who was burnt for she made a pact with the devil to spoil her neighbor's cheese, and they killed her for that, for something stupid like that. She just wanted to spoil her neighbor's cheese. And that's kind of like what I'm saying, like when it comes to the occult, don't play around with black magic. Just don't do it, because it clearly could lead to someone suffering real life persecution, and perhaps persecution in the afterlife. Making a pact with the devil, not a good idea. But to be executed for something like that is rather absurd, when you're just trying to spoil someone's cheese and give them a bad week in their business sales, because she was competing with him. She made her cheese as well. Now, I'm not saying that that's who attacked me or visited me. I'm saying, it's a possibility that it was a witch from this era of witch burnings, but there was no witch burnings in the city I am in. There was none. So that could exclude this from being a witch in this area. I don't know how they get around. Psychic creatures aren't actual creatures; they're entities. So they exist in a place of no time, no space, no matter. So, traveling from place to place is not something that would be exhausting to them. It would be something, they might linger around areas that they hold the most memory to. But I can't say for sure. It was a strange experience. It was probably one of the strangest I ever had. But that's just my take on these occult shenanigans. I could get this stupid camera zoomed back up. Come on. Yeah. It was kind of a beautiful experience too. I felt like I got to interact with, a beautiful angry spirit that's somewhat malevolent. But it's malevolent for reasons of injustice. Yeah, if you're gonna get persecuted for stupid shit and you're a wandering soul, yeah, I'd be fucking angry as hell too. I'd be floating around. I'd find the first motherfucker sleeping and fucking rattle him too. Fuck you. But that's what I'm saying. I think some of these sleep paralysis demons, you can call them demons. They might very well be demons, but I think they're also souls that are just angry. They want to vent. Maybe they do want to be forgiven. But I certainly believe in psychic entities and things like that. And two, I remember this, I forgot to mention, when I was telling this thing to tell me its name, it was coming out like, imagine like you're in a subway and you hear a train coming, but like the voice, you can hear her voice coming in that sort of wail, and then it immediately cuts out. And like it was like every time she was trying to speak, it came in that wail and then would immediately cut out. And I saw the same thing in the Sally House haunting when they were doing recordings of like EPAs or phenomenons like that. It was the same exact sound where it's like a voice is coming and then it cuts out, and it sounds like a train in a subway that's coming, but like immediately cuts out. It's like, and you can tell like there's a voice behind there trying to break through, and that was really weird. And all that happened before I saw the image in my mind, and it appeared that this was a woman.